Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is a Legacy School Literacy lesson for Year 6, Week 3. This is our second lesson in Week 3. For this lesson, you'll need your Checkpoint 1 workbook from pages 3 to 5. I have workbook page 3 open up in front of me, and we are going to continue on the subject of factual writing. What I have in front of me is actually a piece from a website called hostelbookers.com. It's a travel website. We're going to read through it carefully and then answer the questions that follow. So as you can see on page 3, the title is How to Travel on a Limited Budget. A budget, if you don't know, is a fixed amount of money that you've put towards a specific purpose. In this case, it's traveling. All right, so I'm going to continue reading and we'll discuss the vocabulary after each paragraph. So, the word cheap travel can conjure up nightmare images of unreliable tour packages and cowboy hoteliers. And for the unwary, this could indeed become reality. But it really needn't be the case for travelers on a budget. All right, so let's go back and look at the vocabulary, the new vocabulary in paragraph 1. We have the word conjure. To conjure something or to conjure up a nightmare is to bring it up, all right, or to give it cause to happen. All right, and then we have cowboy hoteliers. So a hotelier is a person that owns a hotel. And cowboy is technically or literally a person who herds cattle or owns cattle. But in this sense, they used it to tell us that the hotelier could be somebody who is trying to get money out of you, or somebody who is or somebody who behaves in a very unexpected manner. Let's continue on. With a little forward planning, you will find that less can indeed be more in the world of cheap travel, and a bit of extra cash in your pocket can mean either another week or even another 2 weeks of travel and adventures. The number one rule when it comes to cheap travel is to do your homework and plan ahead. The biggest cost of traveling, of course, will be transport and accommodation, and it follows that this is also where the biggest savings can be made. So let's go back. We have the word accommodation. Accommodation is a word that we've taken in spelling, actually, and it's a place where you stay. If somebody is accommodating you, they are taking you in and allowing you to stay with them. Here, accommodation is usually a hostel or a hotel. All right, booking in advance with budget airlines can save huge amounts, as can checking dates and times around your preferred time of travel to find the cheapest. Airlines adjust prices according to demand, and flexible schedule can also be a great way to find a great deal. So a flexible schedule is a schedule that can easily be changed. It's not something that's set in stone. Accommodation prices also are often subject to variation, particularly depending on where you book. Websites such as Hostel Bookers allow travelers to compare hostel prices quickly and find the best value options for cheap travel. Moreover, there's no additional booking fee charged to the price of a bed. Hostels and cheap hotels can change their prices at any time, so it can pay to book early, especially during the peak season. Conversely, prices can drop at any minute, but usually only out of season. So let's stop here and discuss what they mean by season. Of course, we know there are 4 seasons in a year, but here they mean when something is in season, it means this is the most popular time of year. This is where they get the most business. So peak season is when everybody is trying to go on vacation, everybody is traveling to this particular place. For example, in Sudan, peak season, we could say, is around December. It's the winter months, the weather is a lot cooler, we have lots of weddings and special events happening, so lots of people come from out of the country to visit. We could call that the peak season here. So they're trying to say that prices for hotels and hostels can become a lot more expensive during the peak season. All right, so let's carry on the next page. However, there is more to cheap travel than booking and research from home. Once you're on foreign soil, the best bet is to find some local secrets, especially when it comes to eating and drinking. Don't be afraid to ask friendly locals and other travelers or the staff of your hostel for tips. All right, so there's one thing that I want to discuss in this paragraph: foreign soil. Foreign soil is is a way to describe another country. All right, when you go to another country, as soon as you land and you put your feet on the ground, you can say that you have landed on foreign soil. It's just an interesting way to say that you have traveled to another country. Let's continue. So sticking to a budget on your travel, sticking to your budget on travels needn't hamper your trip. In fact, it can be an advantage. Staying around the spot geared towards tourism and paying for the guidebook's top attractions can mean missing out on real, authentic tastes of the country or city where you're traveling. And stepping off the beaten track to find those low prices can be both exciting and rewarding. So we have two things to discuss here. We have hamper. So they said staying on a budget or sticking to your budget needn't hamper your trip. So that means you don't have to take things out of your plans, or stick to something and not be able to be static just because of a budget. And then, of course, stepping off the beaten track. The beaten track is a way to describe a path that everybody usually takes. So if you go to, for example, Paris, what's the first thing that comes to mind? The Eiffel Tower. Everybody wants to visit the Eiffel Tower. So we'd say that would be the beaten track, the track that everybody takes, or the path that everybody takes. But what they're telling you to do is not to just go where everybody else chooses to go. Look around, explore the city, and you'll find some cheaper options, and you'll also get an authentic taste to the city. All right, so I want to discuss one more thing here, the information that are in brackets. Like, for example, and paying for the guidebook's top attractions. You'll find that in the last paragraph. So when we have information in brackets, this means that this is additional information that is not necessarily important for the reader to know, but it gives us a little extra sense. But for example, if we have information in between two dashes, that is information that is very vital for us to know. All right, so that's the difference between dashes and brackets. So now that we have discussed our piece, let's go ahead and look at the questions. We're going to answer questions 1 all the way until question 6. Number 1, explain what the writer means by these phrases. A, nightmare images. B, unreliable tour packages. And C, cowboy hoteliers. So we've discussed C already. Let's move on to number 2. According to paragraph 4, why is it important to check dates and times of travel? 3, why should you use websites such as Hostel Bookers? 4, what 3 groups of people should be consulted for advice once you're in a foreign country? Number 5, explain what is meant by spot geared towards tourism. So spots that are geared towards tourism, what do they mean by that? And why should you avoid these spots? So you can use your common sense for this. We've also discussed it a little bit, but I want you to go back to the piece and try to figure that out. And number 6, this is our big question. In the first column of the table, list the different pieces of advice given in the passage about how to travel cheaply. In the second column, state what can be gained by following these tips. You should use only information given in the passage and answer using your own words. Try to list points as concisely as possible. So I want you to list them down in bullet points. I want it to be nice and organized. In the column on the left hand, you're going to write some budget travel advice, ways to travel cheaply. And then on the right side, you are going to explain why it is beneficial. Okay? So I can't wait to see your answers. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.